President Joe Brandon Biden has now introduced a mandate to castrate men and tie the fallopian tubes of women who have a higher IQ than himself. Okay, that's fake news. It's not really what's happening. But he did say that business groups ask, this is a news story from CNBC, business groups ask the White House to delay Biden COVID vaccine mandate after the holidays. Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is Shh, It Matters, where we're just going to unpack the news, give our opinion, probably again offend some people. Did do some offending last week, Craig, so I hope you're ready to do that again this week.
Wait. Weighing in at 100 and weighing in at 100 and Matt Logan.
The Craigster is hanging out with me again. Where can we find you? And, what's your actual full name?
Yeah, Craig Ugland, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, and we ruffle some feathers. Maybe that's a good thing.
I got to just say, I told you off camera a minute ago, I invited 4 people that would be kind of progressive thinking, left of the aisle, those kind of labels. Mm-hmm. How I would label it, though, is people who want to just have their own way, and they're going to holler and scream and do whatever they can until their way is accomplished.
Right.
And they won't come on and have conversations with us. I was turned down by 4 people just this week. And, we're volunteering to do this. Maybe someday we'll be rich and famous, but probably not from this. But, the idea of this is to look at the news, give opinions. We would love all kinds of opinions. And honestly, it's really interesting. And I just got to call those people that are more progressive and left thinking that they literally won't come on and sit down and have a conversation with camera on.
And I mean, we've talked about this off camera, like you said, and let's have a conversation. We can agree to disagree. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
But come on and have the conversation. Defend your views. I can be bent. I'm not. I don't have my feet.
We all have our bias.
My heels in the sand on my views on stuff. But let's hear your side of the story. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And now a quick break from the podcast, because listening sometimes just gets draining, just like water drains down a sink. Okay. And now back to the episode.
And instead of just having the rant and
keyboard warriors,
exactly, the thumb wars, as I like to call it, but which I just don't engage in at all anymore.
The special forces of Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's. But if you can't come and have a conversation, then your view or your ideology or however you want to label it probably isn't a very good one, in my opinion. That's my bias.
Yeah. Well,
but anyway.
And we've talked about that as well. And, don't give them the time of day. They're not going to, really listen to what you have to say. That's a cop-out. Come on.
Yeah, it's a total cop-out for
Absolutely.
sure. We've got some flies hanging out with us apparently today as well. I don't know if anybody can see those, flying around my head. And
not on this side of the table.
That's probably because I need to shower again.
Yeah, could be.
I guess it is the end of the month. I should probably do that now. But let's get into those mandates. I was a little hyperbolic about saying Joe Biden's mandates to castrate men and tie the fallopian tubes of women, but it's not far from it. And I'll bring that into this in just a second, but let's take a look at this particular story. So, worried that President Joe Biden's COVID vaccine mandate for private companies could cause a mass exodus of employees, business groups are pleading with the White House to delay the rule until after the holiday season. White House officials at the Office of Management and Budget held dozens of meetings with labor unions, industry lobbyists, and private individuals last week as the administration conducts its final review of the mandate, which will require businesses with 100 or more employees to ensure they are vaccinated against COVID or tested weekly for the virus. It is estimated to cover roughly 2/3 of the private sector workforce. OMB officials have several meetings lined up Monday and Tuesday with groups representing dentists, trucking companies, staffing companies, and realtors, among others. The American Trucking Association, which will meet with the OMB on Tuesday, warned the administration last week that many drivers will likely quit rather than get vaccinated, further disrupting the national supply chain at a time when the industry is already short 80,000 drivers. So I want to just, I travel. I talk to a lot of people in hotels, airplanes, truck stops. What are those little rest stops called?
Rest stops.
Oh, that's
rest
right.
areas, truck stops.
And this is 110% accurate. I have talked to dozens of truckers that will quit before they're going to get jabbed, mandated to get jabbed.
Well, and I mean, there's so many things that tie into this. Can you get a whole lot more socially distanced than sitting in a cab of a truck? I'm not a trucker, but when you get to your destination and you back your trailer up to the dock doors, I'm pretty sure there's ways that you could avoid any contact.
When
at
they're
the gas stations, you can do everything via credit card.
When you're talking about the dock specifically like that, a lot of times they don't even get out. They get out and open their doors, and that's it.
And they don't do that at the dock. They do that before they back in.
Yeah, I mean, so
So
there's
you
no
have
contact.
no contact whatsoever. And there was a protest in Rochester on Monday this week. Down at the Peace Plaza. It was a peaceful protest.
Good.
And
That's
it was
the
a
way they should
protest.
be.
Yeah. That's why it's a protest and not a riot. About Mayo's vaccine mandate, which is a whole nother podcast. But, Mayo's requiring all of their employees. And Mayo's hand is forced because they accept Medicaid and Medicare, and that's being mandated by the federal government, and that's a huge portion of their business. But Mayo is mandating administrative assistants and other admin folks that have been working at home for a year and a half, don't ever go into the office, and will likely never go into the office again. Mayo is requiring them to get vaccinated. Why?
Can we call it a jab or a shot or something?
Yes.
I'm just because
the jab,
the
poke.
A vaccine by definition, which I want to go on record here, listen very carefully. They will probably change the definition of vaccine because of what's happening right now with this shot. It is not a vaccine. A vaccine actually prevents things from happening.
It's a flu shot.
It's a flu shot.
You get a flu booster or a new flu shot every year, and they're already looking at their fourth poke for COVID.
And here's the thing I also want to, right. There's actually people I've seen on their posts that went and got the fourth jab. I don't want to say jab, but it's like, come on. Here's the thing for me. I want to say very clearly, I'm not anti-vax. Nope. I've been vaccinated for a lot of different things. Honestly, I don't even know all of them. I was a kid for a lot of them. But with the mandated vaccination that has come out in just a very short period of time, we don't know the long-term side effects. We don't know the long-term side effects for young men, young women, and reproduction, and all those things. That's hit the news a lot, that there's been some issues with that, miscarriages.
Yep.
So there's a lot of these things they don't know. So what I will say is I am 100% anti-mandate because it's not. We have a constitution.
It's not vetted.
It's not vetted at all. I mean, very little. And it might not be bad for a majority of people. But here's the thing and this has happened 2 or 3 times to me now, and I'm going to rant about this for a minute. And I'm at a gas station, and someone comes up to me, and they said, hey, just a few blocks away, we have a clinic set up where we can do the shot. And I said, wait, how? I'm just going to go line up and you're going to vaccinate me. You're going to give me the shot. Yeah.
Not
That's
knowing your medical history.
Exactly. And I said, you don't know me. What if I have something that's going to be, it might make my heart have an issue. It might make my lungs, whatever.
Adverse
stroke.
effects or
I mean,
conflicting.
yeah, exactly. And so they said, well, this is approved by the federal government. And I'm like, oh, good. Sign me up. Who approved it? The thing is it wasn't voted on. That's how our country works. We have a voting system for our legislatures and Senate and Congress and, those things. It wasn't voted on. This is a mandate by one person.
Yep.
That's exactly what we're not supposed to be as a country. And that is super frustrating to me. Then, at the same place, I'm inside, and someone else comes up to me. Same thing. And that's when I really started to pay attention. Like, hey, wait a minute. You're going to pull some random person off of the street. And let me say it like this, too. It wasn't in my own state.
Right. And they don't know you from Adam.
Or from Matt or Craig or anybody. They don't know a thing. And they're like, get in line. It's free.
No,
Why
it's
wouldn't
not.
you want something
Nothing's
that's free? No, it's absolutely not free.
Well, they were doing that at the U.S. Bank for concerts and Vikings games or the state fair. Come and get your poke.
New York was going to bars at 1 a.m. and stuff months and months ago, saying, drunk people, let's shoot you up.
Tell me more.
Old daughter just got her current round of vaccinations, and my wife and I are not anti-vax whatsoever. But like you said, this isn't. I don't and I used the wrong terminology earlier. I don't think that this is a vaccine, and I'm not a doctor, obviously. But
the doctors that are saying that, hey, look, I've been a doctor for 40 years, and this isn't what we call a vaccine.
Right, they're anti-scientists now.
Right.
Anti-science.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Dr. Jensen was brought up on his 5th round of complaints with Minnesota Department of
Right. And
Health
again,
Medical
the
Association.
5th time not being able to face his accusers.
Right. But, going back to what we're here for today.
And now, a quick break for you to think about how much you love the narrator of this podcast.
Is the president's mandate, which he said he wouldn't do, and now they are, is...
And let me interject here again, sorry. But this stuff frustrates me. It really does.
This is it.
Because they just said weeks before it was mandated that we're not going to mandate it.
Right.
But they did put pressure on businesses at that time to mandate it. And then the businesses said, we're not going to mandate it.
Right.
And so then he came in, dropped the hammer, and said, okay, well, we're going to mandate it. We decided.
Right. And, not to go down that wormhole, but can our current administration do anything more to completely ambush our economy?
I get a little tired of this.
They're going after the truckers, which we're already struggling to keep anything on our shelves. So now they're looking at an industry that's 80,000 employees short and cutting another 30 to 40% of those employees off. Truckers, I think, tend to be a little bit more on the conservative side, and as a whole are probably not going to be up on wanting to get the poke.
You know what the other thing they have is time to
Listen.
research and listen.
Listen to podcasts.
Listen to podcasts. They listen to a lot of... The one thing...
They're a little bit more free thinking.
More free thinking. And the one thing that I have personally discovered, and there's actually numbers for this as well, people that are more free thinking, are more conservative thinking, are more right of the aisle thinking, they actually they make their decision on several sources.
Right.
They don't make their decision from CNN.
No.
Or Fox.
NBC. Or right.
They listen to a lot of things, and they listen to, like, the doctor that invented this shot.
Break time. Break time. Break time. Yep, time for a break. We'll be right back.
They listen to him, which he's banned on a lot of things. Right. He invented it, and now he's banned. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. So here's why I led with President Joe Brandon Biden to castrate and tie fallopian tubes. just as of 2014, they are doing that in California. And now that I'm sure we could find more in mass. That's not just one or two people. So the government, the state, is deciding who is going to be not able to bear children.
Right. We should talk about that in the segment.
Let's talk about that. So here's this article from thehistorycollection.com. Thousands of Americans were sterilized for being feeble-minded in the 20th century. With little say in the matter, Carrie's case went to trial. The trial was long, with Dr. Pretty dying before its conclusion. Dr. John Hendren Bell took over the case for Pretty and continued to argue that Carrie, her mother, and her daughter were all feeble-minded and a drain on the system, and that any children born of any of them would be more of the same. The board of directors ruled in favor of sterilization, which led to Carrie and her guardian taking the case up through the court system, eventually landing in the Supreme Court. This article is long. It talks about, we'll have the link and stuff for both of these articles here in the video, so make sure you click on that. But it talks a lot about the case. It talks about what happened. But let me go through this. It even brought up that the Nuremberg trials,
a time of scoundrels,
for the Nazi doctors cited this model law as a part of their defense for the things that they did. And from 60,000 sterilizations that were performed by the United States government, essentially. It was happening all through the 20th century, and in 2013 it was found that 148 female prisoners were forcibly sterilized in California. And then in 2014, California passed a law that said sterilization in correctional facilities can only be performed if it is necessary for the health of the patient. Who decides that even?
And now, a quick break from the podcast. Make a pizza, chill on the couch, get a massage. We'll be back in about 10 seconds. And now, back to the episode.
But this was interesting that it talks about Carrie's lawyer did a poor job of arguing her case. He failed to call important witnesses, only went along with a diagnosis given by the doctors of the institution that was saying that she needed to be sterilized. And so here, that is exactly why I have an issue with this loose mandate stuff. This, frankly, crap.
Well, and don't forget that in the article, it talks that her attorney was also on the board, I believe, for the prison.
Yes.
So conflict of interest a little bit.
Massive conflict of interest.
Kind of like a lot of our DC politicians having investments in big pharma.
Yeah,
maybe a conflict of interest.
Yeah, I don't know. That might be a stretch. That's kind of like, I don't know. That's pretty free thinking there, Craig. And I don't know. That's a little conservative thinking and
conspiracy.
Big conspiracy thinking. So yeah, I'm not sure if I believe you on that one.
It's interesting to me that. And you had mentioned this offline that, well, who's to judge who should be castrated or not? And that's a great question. But just because you don't agree with somebody because they're a free thinker, I could think of a lot more people than those that I don't agree with that this may be a good idea for, child molesters and rapists and people of that sort.
Right.
That are truly a menace to society and physically, mentally hurt other people.
Right.
But somebody with different thoughts and ideals, probably not the top of the list for mandated castration.
Exactly. And that's why it's dangerous, is because that only a certain handful of people, small handful of people, get to decide. You talk about conflict of interest. Scott Gottlieb. I'm terrible with names. I've said it before. So this meme, I'll post it on this video, but it says on the left is a current member of the board of directors of Pfizer. On the right is the former FDA commissioner in charge of regulating Pfizer.
I've seen this.
Pfizer got tired of paying billions in fines for illegal marketing practices, so they bought the FDA commissioner. On the left is former commissioner of the FDA. On the right is the chief medical officer for Flagship Pioneering, the main investment group of Moderna. And that would be Stephen Hahn. On the left is a current member of the board of directors of Pfizer. On the right is the chairman and CEO of Reuters, in charge of informing people neutrally about Pfizer and its side effects. Pfizer got tired of paying billions in fines for illegal marketing practice, so they bought the media. James C. Smith. I'll have that photo up here. So just, if you're listening, go to the video, YouTube or Facebook. And
Did you fact check that?
actually, I did a while ago.
Just to make sure that we're not spreading misinformation.
Right, and the reality is, that came from a source that was also fact checked, apparently, and things. So, it's a dangerous place to be.
Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see the end of year financials for some of these pharmaceutical companies. Nothing's free.
No, nothing's even close to free. But even if that's transparent, I'm not sure. I mean, how deep this thing all is and goes.
Yeah. It's scary.
And that's why I am. This is one specific reason why I am against mandates like this, just by a king dictator. All the things, that they accused Trump of, they are literally doing. Mm-hmm. And so many people won't even have a conversation about it.
No, and and I see that, well, if Trump would have addressed this from the get-go, he did address it from the get-go, and President Trump is the one that spearheaded having the poke rushed through testing so that they could get it on the market for those that are elderly and have compromised immune systems. The problem, there are already people that may be on the line or whatever, but it wasn't forced on them, but they were the first ones that it was offered to. It's kind of a, what do they have to lose? You're elderly, you're already sick. I'll take whatever I can to try and get me through this. But to force it on healthy people, younger people, children, that's not cool. And it shouldn't be mandated on anybody.
Well, the Congress and Senate haven't even voted on it.
Right. It's textbook 101 of dictatorship that one person, like you said, is forcing this on an entire country.
Yes. Of 350 million or whatever. Mm-hmm. All right. I guess, I don't know.
They're not going to listen to us anyway, but
it's true. But if you are listening to us, if you are watching us, thank you for doing so. We do appreciate it. Hammer the like button, hammer out a comment, hammer the share button. That does help us grow. Craig, I got to throw this in there. I'm really happy. Do you remember the text I sent you a few days ago? I can't remember. Were we up 32%?
I think I could check. I think it was like 40%.
40, yeah. That's what I thought too overall. So thank you for that. We really appreciate that. You are helping us grow. So hammer the like button, hammer the share button. It does help us. And comments also. So we do appreciate it. We hope that this is just to open up minds to really different things. I would love to have conversations that are, sorry, Craig, you don't challenge me as much as I need to be. And I say that tongue in cheek, obviously, because I invited. In fact, I don't talk about who I invite. I have made comments, and you knew who I was talking about just off of because we know some of the same people, obviously, and they just turn us down, and that's not my fault. So there it is.
And I mean, you've had one person on the show that you offered that to, and she stepped up to the plate.
She did, absolutely.
I thought she did a great job.
One out of probably 120, 130.
Which is crazy.
It's super crazy, and honestly, it's frustrating to me because that's a lot of time,
Yeah, and if you're gonna talk smack about somebody, defend your position.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back up the words come out of your mouth.
That's right. We will see you soon.